Yes, indeed. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Come on in and find your seats. My name is Mr. Aegis, and I will be your teacher for this lesson. I'm a health teacher in the real world, and I stream first-time playthroughs, indie, classic, and retro games, and I give lessons on health and wellness like this one tonight on mindful eating. So, grab yourself a snack, because we're going to learn some strategies for greater enjoyment and better health when it comes to eating. First question you probably have, like most people do when they hear about this, is what is the topic of mindful eating? What is this idea? Mindful eating, it's an approach to eating food that involves paying full attention to the entire sensory experience of eating without judgment. It is an exercise, but it is also a practice. What does that mean? Aren't those two things the same? Well, it's an exercise in that it's something you do, something you can do just once. It's also a practice in that it's something you can incorporate into your day, into your everyday life. It emphasizes being present in the moment, savoring each bite, and cultivating an awareness of the physical and the emotional aspects of eating. So the goal with mindful eating is to help you have a better, healthier relationship with food. Fully present, experience it fully. But what is it good for? What else besides that is it supposed to be good for? Well, there's quite a few studies about it, actually. Mason et al., for example, 2015, did a 6-month randomized controlled trial with a diet and exercise program with or without a mindful eating practice. This found that it improved fasting glucose, meaning it had an effect on the blood sugar of the people who did the mindful eating practice. And they also had a decreased consumption of sweets. They tracked what kinds of foods the people chose to eat, and they chose to eat fewer sweets throughout this test. What else? Well, another study found in a systematic review and meta-analysis that it reduced emotional eating. What is emotional eating? What do you think emotional eating is, class? What do you think it means when we talk about emotional eating? Empress suggests stress eating. Eating to feel better, Devil says. Stress and you just keep eating, Mew says. Those are all correct. Yeah. It's eating in response to negative emotions, like stress eating. Eating to feel better, or eating to distract yourself. The mindful eating practice in this test reduced external eating as well. What do you think external eating is? What do you think external eating might refer to? Avel says eating outside of mealtime, like snacking. Pretty close. So external eating is eating in response to the sight or the smell or the availability of food. So you might not even be very hungry, or maybe you're between meals. You could eat, you couldn't eat, but there's food available. Somebody has a bowl of snacks on the table, or they're eating. You smell something really good. You're not really hungry, but you eat anyway because it's there. This mindful eating practice helped the people that had been studied reduce their emotional eating and to reduce their amount of external eating. They more naturally resisted the urge to eat when they weren't hungry. Other things that it's been found to be good for in other studies is reduced uncontrolled eating. And that's pretty obviously things like overeating or binge eating. And you start eating and you just don't stop until the food is gone. You clean your plate, for example, even though you stopped being hungry halfway through. I think it might help you with that, Fractal. I think it will. some concepts there that might make it a little bit more enjoyable. Studies also suggested that it increased individuals' self-regulation, their conscious choice of how much they wanted to eat and when they chose to eat. But that's not all. There's even more than that. It also increases people's intuitive eating. That is, eating without needing to micromanage your diet. Eating well, eating healthy, without needing to really think about it too much. In part because it helps us with our body awareness. It helps us to feel and respond to our hunger cues and to our cues for when we're satiated, when we're satisfied, when we've had enough. Sometimes we're just not paying attention enough to realize, oh, I'm not actually hungry. Oh, I'm full now. This also helps to reduce feelings of guilt and shame that are often associated with food. When we make mistakes, we often feel guilty about that when it comes to our nutrition. But the mindful eating practices, when you incorporate them into your daily life, also improve digestion. Give yourself more time to actually digest food. Wait for those hunger cues to hit your brain. And naturally, since we're slowing down and taking the time to enjoy the food, we're increasing our enjoyment of that food. It is a very simple exercise. The first step that we're going to go through is to prepare. We're going to get ready. In order to do this exercise, whether we're going to do it with me right now or you're just going to try to do it later on, is you find a nice, quiet, comfortable spot, a place that you feel good about eating it. And you're going to pick one small piece of food. Not going to have a meal or bring a full big snack, just one small little bite-sized piece of food. And it could be anything. Anything you want, anything at all. But it may work better for you if you find something, you pick something that has a lot of different textures in it or has some variety of different flavors. Something interesting. Rossi says one of those pretzel nuggets. That's actually a very good option. For example, this is what I've got. I have this enormous jar of pickles in the fridge, so I picked one out, and I'm going to use that. I'm going to take this one little piece of pickle, and I'm going to use that as my mindful eating exercise option. So I want you to do that right now. This is an interactive class. This is the interactive portion. But I'll give you a few moments to run to the pantry or to the fridge or whatever and grab a little piece of something, anything you want. Give you some time and we'll just vibe. We'll vibe with Memory Voice. Great.
Scared me out of my
Great artist. Oh, pickles.
pajamas. Do you know what time it is?
Ed. Sausage and pickles.
Don't make me use this.
Ouch. Eating the cactus.
Jim. Ed,
That can't be good for you, Ed. All right, so if you're ready, the next thing you want to do is set aside any thoughts you have about that food. That might be hard, kind of abstract to think about. Why don't you just set aside any history you have with that food, anything you think about that food, whether you like it or not, if it's a favorite, it's just something you grabbed because it was there. Set that aside. Next thing we're going to do is we're just going to observe it. We're just going to observe this piece of food. I want you to set it in front of you, right there in front of you. And just leave it there for a second. Just look at it. Look at it and take note of the colors of it. What does it look like? What's its texture like? Rough? Is it smooth? Soft? Hard on the outside? Just think about it. Think about those aspects of it. What does it look like? And then I want you to pick it up. Pick up that little morsel. Pick it up and then just hold it. Don't do anything with it, just hold it in your hand. Think about how it feels. How does that texture feel in your hand? You feel the smoothness or the roughness? Squish it. Is it soft? Is it squishy? Is it wet? Is it dry? That's exactly what I'm telling you to do, Jenny. Experience this food harder. Pinch it between your fingers. Roll it around in your hand a little bit. Is it hot? Is it warm? Did you grab something warm, or is it cold? Is it from the fridge? And now smell it. Put it up to your nose and take a good sniff. I've got my pickle here, and it's very green. And it looks rough on the outside. I can feel the bumps in my hand. Kind of squishy. Juice falls out when I squeeze it a little bit. Smell it. A distinct kind of sharp vinegary smell to it. Now set it down. Put it back down. Take a couple of breaths. Now that your breath is clear, pick it back up and smell it again. And just smell the brine on this pickle. Now that you're fully engaged in it, now we'll get to the taste. I want you to take a small bite of that food while you focus on each of those aspects: texture, smell, the taste, temperature, wet or dry. Chew it very slowly. Taking note of the entire experience. Don't swallow until it's completely chewed up. Make sure you are eating slow. And extract every piece of flavor out of that piece of food. Well, Jenny, that's an interesting problem, isn't it? Should you be rushing through eating just to get to something else? Is food not its own reward? Is it not worth actually enjoying the things we eat? Or are we just going to continue always eating while we watch a YouTube video, and then we're distracted and we don't actually enjoy anything we eat, and thus we overeat? Or would we actually end up spending less time eating if we just did one thing at a time and didn't eat too much? Or would we be able to do a lot more with our time if we were healthier? Think about, though, when you were doing that practice, what you felt. What you thought about that food. It is very simple, just to try to stay present. Have nothing else happening, it's just you and the food. If you're just eating for sustenance, if you've got to grab something on the go and eat just so that you're not hungry throughout the day, that's one thing. But if you make something that you really enjoy, probably want to spend the time enjoying it. Some people, when they do this, they'll pick things like their favorite snack cake or whatever. And I've heard people say they'll eat an Oreo or something, and after eating this very slowly, after they've observed it, they smell it and all that, they'll say, you know, it tastes really artificial. I can taste the chemicals in it. People will note things like that, and they'll be like, wow, I didn't realize that these Oreos tasted so artificial. Well, yeah, because they are. Doesn't mean that you have to stop eating Oreos. But people have found that, you know, they don't really enjoy some of the foods they thought they did, because they just eat it sort of mindlessly. How do you think this, though, connects to our previous lessons? What other lessons we've talked about do you think this might connect to? I know one in particular that should stand out. The healthy eating one, very true. Mute. Our budget-friendly healthy eating lesson. I think our overstimulation lesson has a big part of this. We have this constant stream of stimulation coming in, loud music, bright colors, doing multiple things at once. And so there's much more demands for our attention. So things need to be more stimulating. They have to be more attention-grabbing. And the same thing is true with food. Food gets more and more artificial, trying to give stronger and stronger incentive for you to buy that instead of something else. And our lessons that relate to habit making as well. Trying to make good habits. But this is a skill, and skills take time. Not going to be perfect, it's not going to work all the time, and you don't have to do it every day. It's not something you need to do with every single meal. You can try to add it to your daily life. Take smaller bites. Set your utensils down between bites. And if you can manage it, remove the distractions for at least one meal out of the day. Not watching a video in the background. You're not scrolling, you're not doom scrolling. You're in a calm environment, just thinking about the food you're eating. Thank you so much for watching this lesson. I hope you learned something useful and that you can apply it to improve your quality of life. If you liked what you saw, make sure to follow the channel and follow us on Twitch so you can join our lessons and games live. On the screen, you'll see links to our channel and our playlist of other lessons. Thank you again for watching and for supporting independent streaming and educational content. I hope to see you next time. Class dismissed.